And the smell is just incredible. It is the most exotic smell. Hi everyone, and welcome back into my kitchen. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make the most delicious, tantalizing meatball dish. It's called Koofteh Berenji. Basically they're rice meatballs, which I know sounds a bit odd, but bear with me. And as we're going into cooler weather, this particular type of meatball dish, it's cooked more like dumplings in a very beautiful, sweet sour style sauce. And it's really one of my favorite meat dishes. Plus, because you're adding a bit of rice into the mince with some chana dal or split pea lentils, you know, it goes actually quite a long way. So we've got some beef mince here mixed with lamb mince, about 80% lamb to 20% beef. It's just quite a good economical mix, and I get that from my butcher. So I'm going to put the mince into my food processor. If you don't have a food processor, you can do this by hand. What I want to do first though is I've got some fresh herbs here. Now all of the ingredients list here for this particular dish is all on my blog. It's in the recipe section under Koofteh Berenji. You can find it there. I'll also put the link in the comments as well underneath the video. Now, some dishes traditionally for this particular recipe use fresh herbs. I'm going to use a bit of a combo of fresh and also dry because I find that makes it easier to shape the meatballs. So I've got some fresh parsley here, and I'm just going to waz that quickly in the food processor just to chop it a little bit finely before I add my mince. So we're just going to pulse that quick. And once that's sort of a bit finely chopped, I'm going to add my mince. This is really, really good quality mince from my local butcher. Always get the best quality meat you can afford. Here we're going to add also one onion. Doesn't really matter if it's finely chopped because you're going to chop it in here, but it is finely chopped anyway. I'm keeping the other onion I've got here to one side for my sauce. I've also got a couple of tablespoons of chickpea flour. You can leave this out if you don't have chickpea flour, but it does help to act as a binder. I've got some cumin, which of course is again a spice you'll see used often in Persian cuisine. And I've also got some ground coriander. Next, I'm going to add some turmeric as well. Be warned, if you're mixing this by hand, wear gloves, otherwise your hands are going to go yellow. And I've got some dried herbs here. I've got some dried mint, not very easy to find. I would suggest you try like a local Indian grocer or something. I've also got some dried tarragon, and I've also got some dried dill. And they add a lot of flavor, but also it means I can keep holding the meatball together. We're going to add our split pea lentils or chana dal and our sort of par-cooked rice. Both of these have been par-cooked, so cooked halfway, boiled for about 25 minutes. I'm going to add those after I have actually wazed the mince in the food processor. Finally, we're going to add 2 eggs. Go. And then literally we're just going to mix it all together. Okay, let's have a look. Perfect. So I've got my mince in the bowl, my mince mix with all my herbs and everything else. Next I'm going to add my par-cooked rice. Now I haven't used basmati here, I've used like jasmine rice just because it holds itself a little bit more. You could probably use arborio as well, Italian risotto rice, that might also work. But the Thai jasmine rice I find works really well for this particular dish. I've got my chana dal and I'm just going to incorporate that really nicely. As you can see, I'm not wearing the gloves, so but I'm used to just having turmeric stained fingers these days. Once it's fully incorporated, we're then going to make some quite largish style balls. The idea is everybody just gets one big meatball. And they do sort of remind me of kind of like an Eastern European dumpling of some kind. They look like that. I'm just going to grab a plate so that I can put them to one side. Now it's easy, if you've got some water, put some water in a bowl and just wet your hands. That way your hands won't stick so much to the actual kofta. There we go. And you want sort of like it's not really a golf ball, it's almost a tennis ball, I guess, but not quite. But it should sit quite nicely in the palm of your hand, like that. So I've just done the last one, and I actually got 9 out of this. I could have perhaps made each one a little bit bigger, but it's not a train smash. And I'm just gonna put them to one side. You can put them in the fridge, and now we're gonna make the sauce. So you could actually ostensibly do this earlier on in the day if you wanted to, but we're gonna get on now and make the sauce, and once the sauce is on its way, we are gonna add the meatballs. So I'm ready to make my sauce now, and I've got my nice thick heavy based saucepan. You need a good quality pan definitely to make this kind of sauce. It's going to be simmering for a while. So I'm going to add a little bit of butter. I've also got a little bit of oil. I'm going to mix the two. It's a light olive oil. I don't want a strong flavor from the olive oil. Once our butter and our oil is melted and it's hot, we're going to add our finely chopped onion. And actually, interestingly enough, this dish does not have any garlic in it. A lot of Persian dishes actually don't have garlic added, but they're still packed full of flavor. There's always the thing for me to want to add garlic. I'm a big garlic lover, but actually this dish really doesn't need it. It's still packed full of flavor. So my onion is starting to go translucent now. I don't want to caramelize it too much. That's not the point here, just getting a little bit of flavor. I've got some turmeric here, ground turmeric. I'm going to add that into the mix. I'm also going to add some tomato paste, a couple of tablespoons, and I'm going to give that a really nice stir, make sure all the onions are coated. And once they are, I'm basically just going to add a couple of liters of water. Now it will look like quite a lot of water, but we do want quite a watery stock, which we're then going to add our meatballs to. Right. Now I'm going to bring the water up to a boil. I want it to be hot before I add my koftas into it. Now this is again not a traditional addition, but I'm going to add a couple of tablespoons of pomegranate molasses into the mix. This is my own little variation. I'm just such a big fan of the pomegranate molasses. I think it adds such a nice depth of flavor and that lovely sweet sour kind of combo. And then the final thing that I'm going to add into the mix are some chopped apricots. Again, this is going to add to that sweet sour and also going to make the sauce a little bit sticky, which is really, really lovely. You don't want too many, but just enough. And they'll obviously, as the sauce cooks, sort of melt down and disintegrate. So once your sauce is simmering away, you're going to take your lovely kofta and place them gently into the liquid. And by the time you put them in, you want them almost to be covered. I think I'll manage that here. So once I've brought that up to a simmer, I'm going to reduce the heat so it's just very, very gently simmering, and I'm going to leave it that way for about 45 minutes and come back and check on it then. So my meatballs are finished now. I've got a really nice thick sauce, which I'm going to show you, and the apricots have disintegrated a little bit. And the smell is just incredible. It is the most exotic smell. I'm going to serve my Koofteh Berenji with some Barbary bread, which is like a Persian sort of naan style bread. I made it a little bit earlier. It's still a little bit hot, but you can see it's sort of bread that you tear off like that, and you can tear off pieces and dip into the sauce. So I'm going to spoon my meatballs out onto my plate. And they've held together very nicely, and they just smell incredible. And this is the kind of dish you can just put it in the middle of the table with some of that bread, a nice fresh salad, and everybody can get stuck in. Feasting and sharing food, it most certainly is. There we go. I'm also going to just pour some of that sauce over. Okay, and then I'm just going to put the pot to one side, and I'm going to garnish my meatballs with some of these zeresh. Now you don't need to do this, but I do love that little acid pop tang. There aren't many places you can find these though in South Africa. I'm not quite sure why. And also just a bit of parsley, just for a little bit of color. And that's it. There we go, beautiful Koofteh Berenji. Don't forget guys, you can get all the full details of the recipes and the dishes on my blog, which is aliasvibrantlife.com. I'll also put a link in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you want to see more of this beautiful food.